Welcome to the Speechie Show. Being a speech-language pathologist often means having too much work and not enough planning time. To beat the overwhelm, we're bringing you the tricks and tools that will make your job a little bit easier. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Speechie Show. I am your host, Carrie Clark, and I am here today with Christine Ristuccia. How are you, Christine?
Good. How are you doing, Carrie?
Good. Christine is from Say It Right, and she is here with me to talk about R today. So we are going to get into that in just a minute, but before we get started, I'm going to tell you a little bit about your hosts today, your co-hosts. I am Carrie Clark. I am from speechandlanguagekids.com, and this is the Speechie Show. We will be interviewing guests from other speech therapy websites and other speech-language pathologists in the field. And today we have Christine with us. So Christine, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a school-based speech-language pathologist, and I've had over 16 years of experience. And I also am the owner and creator of the Entire World of R. It's a phonemic approach to R remediation. So we develop screening tools and educational materials for speech pathologists to work on articulation disorders, language, all sorts of resources and fun stuff for you to do with speech and language kids.
Excellent.
My primary flagship product is the Entire World of R.
Yeah, so that's how I heard about you, was from the R stuff, because I had when I had my first R client, I was like, okay, I need some help. So I started looking online, and that was how I found it too. For those of you who are on with us live on Facebook Live, if you could type in and tell us how you feel about treating the R sound. So are you pretty thumbs up confident about it, or are you kind of stressed out about R and needing some help? So go ahead and type in if you are with us live on Facebook and want to chime in how you feel about the R sound. All right, so today we're going to talk about the 5 steps to treating R. And are these from your Entire World of R approach? Is that what these are from, Christine?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 5 steps that we're going to talk about today. And the first one is evaluating all 32 R allophones. Now, Christine, tell us a little bit about what that means exactly.
Well, Carrie, typically speech pathologists work on just with traditional articulation tests, such as the Goldman-Fristow tests like that. And that's a really good test for determining eligibility, whether the student qualifies for speech pathology or speech therapy services. However, I've noticed that it has such a limited approach to looking at the 32 R allophones. It doesn't look at all 32 R allophones. So then the second tier of looking at the 32 R allophones is the Entire World of R screening tools. And those help you to determine a student's strengths. So sometimes I'll have students come in my room and I'll listen to them in conversational speech, and their eyes are rolling, or they sound like they have an English accent, and I'm not hearing any correct R's, but then I'll do the screening and I look for their strengths, and 95 to 100% of the time we can find at least one R that they can do, and then we have a starting point, which is awesome.
Okay, so you say there are 32 different R allophones. For those who are watching that don't know what that means, what are all the 32 different variations of R? Or, you don't have to go through every single one, but kind of give us an overview.
Well, you have the R's at the beginning, like pre-vocalic R, read and run and raise, and then there's 13 vocalic R's. Typically, speech pathologists group them into one category, but there's actually 6 categories. And then there's 3 word variations for each of those. And then you have that tricky medial and final RL sound, and then the initial R blends. So
when you say grouping, so when you say grouping the vocalic R's, that's like ear, air, ire, or are all grouped into different groups. And then there's initial, medial, and final, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, there's a ton of different R's, which is what makes it so tricky to teach the R sound, is because they're all pronounced just a little bit different, right?
Right. They're They're pronounced differently, and then the vowel in front of the R changes the placement. So sometimes, like with the T or an S sound, the tongue is always behind the alveolar ridge, but with the R sound, that's not the case.
It moves around.
Changes each of the R allophones and the word positions, so it makes it pretty tricky.
Yeah. All right, so the next step then would be, after evaluating all of those 32 allophones, would be to choose a correct production. So how do you go about doing that?
Well, after you've done the screening tool, you're listening and actually being a detective. So a lot of times I used to do this where I'd say, no, 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 I'm not hearing a correct production. And now I listen for an almost correct production or something that's close, or a correct production, and then I write those words down on a word list, and I use them for warm-up, homework, and a place to start.
Okay.
So I think that's the most important piece, is not being hypercritical of the student, but actually listening for some opportunities of starting places. Otherwise, you don't have a place to start, and it becomes a struggle.
Yeah. So what do you say for those therapists that are saying, okay, well, I've had him say ear words and R words and OR words, and they all sound terrible. He has no good productions. What do you say to that?
I say, did you do this screening?
And the screening you're referring to is one of your screenings, right, for the entire world of R?
Right. I have a single word screening, which takes 5 minutes, and I have an advanced screening, which could take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. There's 2 parts to the advanced screening. Obviously, you could also make up your own screening tool. That's always an option as well.
But you just want to look at all of those different 32 and see if there's one of those different 32 variations that the child is able to produce in some word, right?
Right, because that gives you a starting point. It gives you placement. It gives you an opportunity to show the student where they're successful, and then you have a starting point, so you can actually have a target to work on production practice.
And have you ever found a kid that did not have a good R in there somewhere?
I have not found that, but I have had to dig sometimes and be a detective, where I've had kids who have been in art therapy for a while, had a few therapists, and they have anxiety. They're not happy about being in speech therapy. So when I redo the screening tool, sometimes I have to use the second part of the advanced screening, where I'm using more nonsense words and facilitating context. It's only happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I do a lot of consulting work, and I'll have therapists say, oh, he's a doozer, he can't do this. So I go in with my screening tool. I ignore all the other things that I'm hearing them do, and the facial expressions they have, and I'm really listening for that correct production.
Okay. So then once you find a correct production, one that they can say correctly, then the third step is to choose targets based off of those screening results. So tell me how you go about doing that.
Well, I typically write down all the word, like I mentioned before, I'm listening for the almost correct productions and the correct productions, and I'll write them down on a list, and I'll ask the student to say the words again, and I listen for the best production. I'll ask the student what they feel is the most comfortable production for them, and then we match that particular R allophone with production practice lists, which are in the books of Say It Right. You could go online, but just make sure that you're phonetically using the same word list. So, for example, if you have like an AR in the initial position as your target, then your production practice lists are going to have like Archie, Argentina, armadillo, arm, words like that. It's staying phonetically consistent in the same word position. So that's really helpful. So you work on ear training, how it feels, that kinesthetic awareness, and you can make a lot of rapid progress with that.
Okay, so then that goes into our fourth step, which is using phonetically consistent production practice using that chosen target. So that's like what you were talking about with, like for the AR example of using other words that use that same R in the same part of the word, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Okay, and then the fifth step that you had for us was to stay consistent and to rescreen to check for generalization. Tell me how that looks.
Well, when you do your production practice, we typically go 80% at the sentence level for that particular target. And once I've reached that target, I'll rescreen again. And most of the time I have R's that were misproduced before. A lot of them have started to come in. I can't tell you which ones are going to come in because each student is individual. But then when they do come in, then I don't need to work on those specifically. I can put those on my correctly produced list, practice list, and then I can re-choose another target.
And you said that was once you get to the sentence level, right? With the one that you picked?
Right, exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, that sounds wonderful. I love those 5 points, and I hope that's helpful for everybody that's listening. The next part of the show that we always do is favorite resources. So tell us about some of your favorite resources for working on R and things that will help our listeners get even more value out of this.
Well, I love the 8-deck playing set that we have with Say It Right. It's our cards, and they're pairs of cards, so you can play Go Fish, Concentration, things like that. That's really fun for students. They love to do that at the end of the drill session that we have. I also like the Entire World of Our flip books, where you can make up stories and work on different word positions at the same time. There's literally thousands of combinations within each flip book, so I really enjoy doing that. What else do I like? My favorite book is The Entire World of Our Book of Elicitation Techniques. I use the word lists in there all the time. Even though I compiled the word list, I cannot remember really all the
right. It's definitely nice to have it in front of you.
Absolutely. So that's my favorite resource. I bring it with me everywhere. So
fantastic. All right. So we're going to have all of those links in the show notes once this video goes over to the website over at speechandlanguagekids.com. So you guys can head over there once the video is live on the website, and you can get the links to all of her favorite resources. But now we're going to do a giveaway. So if you're on here with us live, don't run off because you might win. So for our giveaway today, we're going to have 2 winners. The first one is going to win 2 free months in my membership program. So if you're not familiar with that, my membership is called the Speech Therapy Solution. And the Speech Therapy Solution is my membership just for speech language pathologists. You get access to weekly Q&A calls, a monthly webinar. You get access to a Facebook group, so you can get help with your tough cases in there. And then there's a whole library full of training videos and another library full of print and go materials. So it's a really, really good benefit. You have a ton of really good stuff in there. So that's the Speech Therapy Solution. And we're going to give away 2 free months in that to somebody who's watching live. And then Christine, tell us about what you're giving away to your winner for the giveaway.
Well, Carrie, on Friday is our launch of the R Makeover course, and it's a series of 4 modules, and one module will be released per week, and it's all about the R sound and working on the 10 steps. I shared 5 steps today, but we actually have 5 more steps, and the winner will have access to the modules for an entire school year, which is awesome. Wow. And we're going to have a Facebook support page, so everybody in the R Makeover course is going to be able to post questions on Facebook. I will be answering them once a week. You'll be able to bounce ideas off me, off your colleagues, and have that support, which is amazing. It's really fun to be able to do that.
That is fantastic. Okay, so first person to answer my question gets 2 free months in the Speech Therapy Solution, which is my site. The second person to answer my question correctly, I should say, you have to answer correctly, will get access to Christine's new course on R, the R Makeover course. They will get access to that for free. So here's the question. Are you guys ready? Ready to type it in? All right, the question is, how many allophones of R are there? How many allophones of R? Type in your answer. The first 2 are going to win the giveaways. How many allophones of R? I feel like we need Jeopardy music right here. Do, 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 do. See if See if somebody answers. Well, while we're waiting for someone to answer, we hope, here we go, never mind. We got, okay, Mary Sue has 32. Okay, so we gave away the answer. Now the next person to write the exact same thing also gets to win the giveaway. Mary Sue's got it. Okay, so Mary Sue, you are going to win my membership, the 2 free months. So you can get that by emailing me at Carrie@speechandlanguagekids.com. That's Carrie @speechandlanguagekids.com. The next person to answer the question gets access to the R makeover course for free. So if you are in here live and you know how many allophones of R there are, type in your answer so you can win. Okay, so we hope that helps you with your tricky R cases. If you have other tricky cases that you need help with, you can definitely access me through the Speech Therapy Solution. You can go over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join, and that will get you access to all the details about the Speech Therapy Solution. And Carly writing. Carly won the second prize. So Carly's going to get access to the R makeover course. Christine, how can she reach you to get a hold of that?
Support@sayitright.org.
Support@sayitright.org. Okay, so Carly, you need to email that. Mary Sue, you need to email me at Carrie@speechandlanguagekids.com. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I think that's all we had for today. Christine, how can people find out more about you and Say It Right and the entire world of R and your R makeover course? How can they find all that?
They can go to www.sayitright.org. That we have all our products on there, and for the R makeover course, support@sayitright.org.
Okay, so they can email you and get access or get information about joining that course, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining with me today, Christine. I'm so glad to have you on the show for our second episode, first guest. All right, and thank you for everyone who was able to watch live, and we'll catch you next week on another episode of The Speechie Show. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today on The Speechie Show. We hope today's tips have helped you feel a little less stressed and a little more confident about your work. If you're looking for more stress busters and confidence boosters, we'd love to have you join us in the Speech Therapy Solution, where you'll get access to a huge library of premium training videos and another library of print-and-go therapy materials. You can also get help with your tough cases by joining Carrie on the weekly Q&A calls or by posting in the exclusive Facebook group. Plus, group members can join us for a monthly webinar that can be used for continuing education credit. Head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join to check out all the amazing benefits of the Speech Therapy Solution membership. Bye for now.